Hey guys, welcome back to yet another marvelous video. This one is for all the Dark Tower fans out there. Today, we will take a look at a fascinating character from this epic series, who is basically like the secondary antagonist in the 4th installment. If you guys have read Wizard and Glass, you must already be very familiar with this character. If you have not already guessed by now, it is none other than Rhea of Coos. So, guys, sit back and enjoy as we delve into a video on her origins, the role she plays, and the powers that she wields. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. Who is Rhea of Coos? Born in what would eventually become the barony of Delane, Rhea was not blessed with conventional gifts. She was not the sharpest mind in town, did not turn heads with her appearance, and consistently failed at the community's treasured riddling competitions. But what she lacked in these areas, she more than compensated for with two distinctive traits: an extraordinary memory that missed nothing, and a capacity for holding grudges. She was extremely determined to become as strong as she possibly could. And she also grew up with a very brutal philosophy, survival of the fittest. Her challenging personality made genuine connections, close to impossible. Even her own family members kept their distance, and they often regarded her with thinly veiled fear rather than affection. This social isolation basically made her seek solace in a very unlikely place, the local swamp, where she formed her only friendships, if you could call it that, with mutated frogs and worms, which kinda sounds sad, if you ask me. It was during one of these excursions that fate intervened in her life. Something mysterious drifted into her eye. It was a fragment of what we know now as the Laughing Mirror, though Rhea herself had no understanding of its significance. At the time this happened, this seemingly random event transformed her perception completely. It granted her the ability to detect magical forces in the world around her. Through her eye, the swamp revealed itself as a realm teeming with spirits and phantom entities, invisible to ordinary sight. That sounds like a really cool experience, right? As Rhea grew older, the command she had over her newfound magical abilities got better. She strategically relocated to the neighboring barony, and she was then known as a wise woman. However, her practice ended up being deeply problematic. The spells and curses she used while treating her patients ended up creating suffering for anyone who was unfortunate enough to seek her assistance. Her reputation basically forced her into a nomadic existence, and she could never remain in one location for more than a month. When one particularly bold village sought out justice for the harm she caused them, Rhea's retribution was extremely swift and devastating. She unleashed a plague that decimated the entire community, leaving just a single survivor to tell the tale. Pretty brutal, right? Well, it does not end here. This is just the beginning of her journey, before she even meets our antagonist, the Crimson King. As she grew closer to her death, the fear of death drove her to make a desperate bargain. She pleaded with the Crimson King to extend her life and welcome her into his service. He agreed to her proposal and told her to establish herself in the village of Hambry and wait for further instructions. And this basically sets the stage for her involvement in events that are yet to unfold. It was in the village of Hambry where Rhea's story took a huge turn. Here, she received an object of immense magical significance, Maerlyn's grapefruit. This was not just any magical trinket. It was a powerful sphere deliberately placed in her possession by Eldred Jonas, who was working for John Farson. The relationship between Rhea and the grapefruit quickly transformed from it being in her possession into a kind of obsession. This was not just a mere fascination with it. The magical orb basically exerted a corrupting influence that ended up captivating her. Despite visibly draining her life force and vitality with each use, Rhea could not break free from its allure. The vision it revealed became her addiction. It could basically show the future, and she was so obsessed with all the things that this glass showed her. She kinda gets back some of the energy that Maerlyn's grapefruit drains from her by drinking the blood of Cordelia Delgado, who is Susan Delgado's aunt. Susan Delgado, for those of you who do not know, is our hero Roland's love interest. Role of Rhea of Coos in the Dark Tower mythos. Now that we know where Rhea came from, let us take a look at how she matters to our story. Our story begins when young Susan Delgado arrives at Rhea's hut for what has to be the most uncomfortable thing ever: having her honesty, a euphemism for virginity, verified. Sounds horrible, right? Well, the reason behind this is equally horrible. This examination is not some random checkup for the disturbing arrangement that Susan's Aunt Cordelia has negotiated, positioning her niece as Mayor Hart Thorne's mistress. Susan enters this arrangement believing she will serve as a surrogate mother for Thorne's child, since his wife could not conceive. But Rhea delivers a harsh reality check to her. She tells her that the mayor does not just want an heir, he wants her as his mistress. It is on the journey back from this unsettling visit becomes irrevocably intertwined with Roland's. As they meet on the road for the first time, the two are young when they meet. Roland is just 14 and Susan is 16. However, there is an immediate connection between them. They both initially try to resist their feelings in the beginning, knowing the dangerous complications that their relationship would create, but their mutual attraction ultimately proves too powerful to deny. Soon, they are orchestrating secret meetings and communicating with each other sneakily. What these young lovers do not realize is that their secret is not secret at all. Using Maerlyn's grapefruit, Rhea spies on Roland and Susan's developing relationship. She does not just stop there, she makes all this more creepy by hypnotically suggesting something to Susan after she loses her virginity to Roland, and that is to cut off her hair. However, Roland thankfully stops her from doing this. After this incident, Roland and Cuthbert Allgood go to confront the witch at her hut, demanding she stay out of their affairs. And how does Rhea respond to this? Well, she sicks her pet snake Ermod on Roland, which does not turn out great for her as he ends up killing it. She does not let any of this stop her. She uses her pet cat, Musty, to send for Shimi and gives him a letter that is meant for Susan's aunt. With this, she is hoping to expose the truth that Susan slept with Roland. However, she faces more challenges after this. Jonas returns to collect Maerlyn's grapefruit the day before reaping, but as we already know, Rhea is in too deep and she does not want to part with it. She wants to go along with it. Jonas soon understands that she is just a liability for him. After she is separated from her beloved magical object, Rhea's fixation narrows to a single-minded obsession, destroying Susan Delgado. She gives away Susan's location to Jonas, enabling the big coffin hunters to capture her, though Shimi, with help from Olive Thorne, manages to free Susan from her imprisonment in the mayor's house. Rhea ensures that this freedom is short-lived. After informing Cordelia of the escape, Rhea personally recaptures Susan on the town's outskirts. What follows is perhaps the most horrific moment in this entire tale. The townspeople, who are in a frenzy, basically brand Susan as a traitor and give her a horrible punishment. They end up burning her alive as a Char-Yu tree sacrifice. But the horrors do not stop with this. Roland is basically forced to watch his love die horribly through Maerlyn's grapefruit, which he takes from Eldred Jonas, and he is completely powerless to intervene. Very tragic, right? Well, there is even more to this story. Rhea basically continues to haunt Roland, even after he goes back to Gilead. I mean, of course she does. She is basically the reason behind Susan's death. Maerlyn's grapefruit then shows him a vision that Rhea is on her way to Gilead, and he believes this. However, it turns out that it was just deceiving him. Believing that his own mother is Rhea, Roland does something that will continue to haunt him for the rest of his life. He ends up killing her. Rhea is basically responsible for the deaths of two women that Roland has loved, his mother and Susan. By the end of this fourth installment, there are suggestions that basically point to the idea that Roland eventually ends up finding Rhea and getting his revenge. However, nothing is explicitly said, so it still remains a mystery. Looks, personality, and powers of Rhea of Coos. Even before her encounter with Maerlyn's grapefruit, Rhea was a deeply unsettling figure. Age had already worked its cruel magic on her body, leaving her looking very haggard and ancient. But what truly made her into a walking nightmare was the magical orb's influence, which literally fed on her life essence and made her increasingly gaunt with each passing day. Her most distinctive and terrifying feature was perhaps her infected eye, which had an embedded shard of the laughing mirror, and it emitted an eerie faint glow. With her wild and unkempt hair, severely hunched posture, and limbs reduced to nothing more than skin-wrapped bones, Rhea kinda embodied decay in human form. Even her voice carried the essence of her nature. It was described as shrill and cutting, and it could slice through a conversation like a blade, leaving the listeners unsettled and on edge. Her personality was a perfect mix of malice, manipulation, and an insatiable hunger for power. Unlike the villains who might occasionally have redeeming qualities, Rhea basically thrived on the misery that she inflicted, whether through elaborately crafted curses, intricate deceptions, or even casual cruelty. The suffering of others was her primary source of satisfaction. What truly defined Rhea was her capacity for vengeance and pettiness. Nothing was too small to warrant retribution. In her distorted worldview, she always looked at everything around her with suspicion, and she was a very bitter person. She was extremely good at manipulating and cursing people. We even saw how she hypnotized Susan. With Maerlyn's grapefruit, her powers only grew. She was now able to see things that could happen even in other places, and she used this information very wisely to further her schemes. However, her obsessive tendencies led to her downfall. The sphere basically drained her. It was slowly leeching her life force, and it was meddling with her judgment. It also made her into a very paranoid and erratic person. Talk about a toxic relationship, right? Marvelous verdict. Well guys, with that, we come to the end of yet another fun video. Rhea of Coos has definitely been an interesting character to look at with you guys. The things she has done to Roland and his loved ones are just so horrible. She just seems so petty sometimes. What do you guys think? It also seems like she has such unnecessary hatred for Susan. I mean, what did she even do to her? Imagine if her character did not exist. Roland could have avoided so much suffering. What do you guys think happened to her? Do you think Roland would have ended up killing her? Let us know your thoughts in the comments section below. If you enjoyed watching this video, please remember to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more like this. Thanks for watching.